Welcome to Ditch Digger CEO. I've got my partner Chris here, and today, Chris, we've got a buddy of mine that I've known for probably about 15 years, I'm guessing here, and just an awesome friend of mine, and his wife and his family have been friends with my wife and my family for years, and have enjoyed growing business and being around Rob through leadership organization we're in, YPO, that we talk about often, right, Chris? Mm-hmm. And Rob has been a guy that always raises his hand to lead. Somebody I'd always admire around YPO network or anything. Rob's a guy that doesn't sit back and kind of watch others. He's raising his hand, and I'll take that job. Hey man, I'll do that, right? I mean, anything in leadership, Rob's a guy never afraid to lift his hand and jump in and lead. So I admire Rob in a huge way for many reasons. Family-wise, a great father, great husband. Business-wise, great entrepreneur, and just a leader, right? We don't have enough leaders in this world, in my opinion. Leaders that give like Rob. So Rob Wilson, welcome to our show, Ditch Digger CEO, buddy. It's great to have you. Great
to be here. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for the kind words, and you're awesome. The work that you've done with Ditch Digger CEO, the business that you've built is just, it's been fun watching you over the last 15 years. What a company that you've built and your foundation. So it's been great watching you grow.
Well, that's the fun, Rob, right? Is when you and I become friends, and our wives were such good buddies, and we kind of feed off each other, right? When you see good friends that you respect doing cool things, whether it's philanthropic or leadership, whatever, it's like, man, hey, Rob and Stacy are doing that, man. We could do that. Let's dive in and help Rob and Stacy, right? I just think that's what the cool part of networking and friendships are. When you surround yourself with great people, you tend to try to be like them, right? And so it's so much fun when you think back 15 years ago or whatever, when we got to know each other, and so many of our other friends got to know each other, right? It's kind of like you're constantly feeding off the success of the business somebody else had. Like, hey man, Rob was able to scale that way. I think in our business we could do the same thing. Or hey, Rob lifted up his hand. He led that event at YPO. That was such a great educational event. Hey, I think we could do that too, right? So it's watching other people step up. I think it inspires others to do the same thing. So that's the fun of great friendships and networks. So you're a model to many, and I appreciate that. So Rob, hey, what we want to do, Rob, is we want to talk about always like to talk about your upbringing and where how you grew up and all that. Talk about your family back then, your family now, and then the start of your business and where you've taken it, and you and your brother and your family, where you've taken this business to be from a local business to a national business that you have today. So we'll throw Chris and I will throw questions at you here and there, or stop you. We might be rude sometimes and say, "Oh, stop, hold on," right? But we have a lot of fun, and like to hear again, your whole story. So if you can even start, tell us about who you are, your business, and all that. Tell our fans that, and then we're going to go into kind of history of you and your upbringing and stuff.
Sure. I co-founded Employco USA, which we're an HR outsourcing company providing HR solutions to businesses. We buy benefits in volume. So our goal is to save clients money, but also enhance their HR. And especially in this environment where if you're in multiple cities and states, it's constantly changing. For one person to stay up to date on that in an internal organization, it just makes sense for them to outsource. So we're active in all 50 states during the pandemic. We actually finally got somebody up in Alaska, and it's been great. April 16th, we celebrated 25 years. So it's
awesome.
Seems like yesterday, but it's been a lot of fun. You hear people that don't like their job. I love what I do every day. So
awesome.
It's been fun.
Yeah, and so where'd you get this entrepreneurial mentality? How'd who are your tell us about your upbringing and stuff.
Yeah, sure. I got my first job when I was 8 years old in a paper boy on a paper route in Westchester, Illinois.
What paper route? What paper route you have?
It was the Pioneer or something. They went out of business, but eventually I moved up to like the suburban life, and then eventually moved up to the and that was the one where you had to go door to door to collect the $2 a month or whatever it was. And eventually moved up to the Tribune and Sun Times. So, but
Wow.
you know, it was fun. You know, we growing up, we always had a really good work ethic. My dad at the time was working for an insurance agency in Chicago, and then ended up in 1979. He started his business, which was an insurance consulting firm, and I eventually graduated on to a pizza place. But you know, been working since I was 8 years old, and started my first company when I was a sophomore in college. So
you and I were delivering papers about the same. We were delivering papers about the same time, Rob. So I was 10 years old to like 13, 14. I delivered papers, the Chicago Tribune. I went to the big time right away, dude. I didn't mess with those local. I went right to the Tribune right away. And it was about 4 years before my brother took over the route. But it was probably sort of been 1973 to 1977, probably 6 or 7.
Okay. We probably started the weekly paper, you know, pulling a wagon around the neighborhood at that was probably like 1973, 74. And when we did the Tribune, I did that for about 3 years, and what brutal winters. But
Sunday papers are crazy. They're like 4 inches thick, right?
Oh yeah, tough. You know, throw those on in the bag and get on a bike, and
right.
It was but good memories. And my brother and I did it together, and we figured, all right, if we're gonna make some money on tips, let's go door to door and give everybody their Christmas card. And then, you know, they see like a 13-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, you know, better than sending a card in the mail like they do today. So
absolutely, that's funny. That's funny. We're doing the same job, and you know, we could have been newspaper magnets, entrepreneurs today if we would have stuck with that.
Yeah, you know, and the kids of today, they don't have that experience. The guy that does, we still get the Wall Street Journal and a couple of papers at our house. Some guy does like 3 or 4 towns at the same time. So those jobs for kids that were our age, they're not there anymore.
I know it. I mean, I told the story last night. I was in front of a bunch of people at Union League Club, but when the newspapers were one thing. I had $6 a week, and then it was $2 in tips. I figured I usually tried to collect $2 in tips per week. But my second biggest money was mowing lawns on that paper route. So I ended up mowing a bunch of the lawns in the paper route, and it was like $15 or $20 a week there. And then the biggest money of all was dumpster diving. I dove in dumpsters for aluminum cans. And it was like $20, $30 a week. And I told the story last night. It's kind of funny, but you think back and of where you were and when you started your drive to make money and all that. But I'd be in dumpsters at the marinas around Fox Lake, Illinois, and there'd be cute girls walking by, and I'd be 11, 12, 13 years old. A cute girl would walk by, and you know me, Rob, I'm kind of an outgoing guy, and I was a kid too, right? So I'd be like, "Hey, girls," right? I start waving at some girls, and they look back, they go, "Gross!" Oh God, they run away, right? Like, wow, gosh, that didn't work out so well. But that was like a great growing experience, right? To take a paper route and then spin off other things like
I did the lawn. I cut lawns as well. We dragged the lawnmower up and down the block, and you don't see very many kids doing that anymore as well, because there's so many landscaping companies. So,
and everybody's worried. Everybody's worried about the liability too, right, Rob? I mean, you're the insurance guy, right?
Yeah, and you want some kid that you don't know cutting your grass with stuff. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun times. So it seems like yesterday.
So tell me about your parents back then. I mean, were they supportive of you guys getting out and working at a young age? Because I'm sure they had enough money. You didn't have to, right? They could have fed you without that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, they were very supportive. My mom would be up in those, kind of some of those Sunday, the heavyweight papers. She'd be up helping us fold them, and be out we'd be out in the street at 5:30 in the morning or whatever. But they were always very supportive about us. And my dad, he didn't want to. He was working for somebody else and didn't had a vision of what he wanted to do. And so he had three kids. I was in 8th grade, and so he had 3 young kids, and he left his job and started from scratch as a startup. So I think that's where I got my entrepreneurship from, was just watching him, leave he had a safe job, but he's like, I don't want to work for someone anymore. I want to do my own thing.
And then you have the choice, right? You have the choice of safety, and probably a good retirement, maybe a pension, probably back then, but 401k or whatever you might have nowadays, right? You have that safety of an income, and you have the safety of probably some retirement and all that. But really, is that really as safe as building your own thing, right? If you're confident, there's risk in building your own thing, but boy, the excitement and the reward from that risk, if you work really hard, is awesome, right? And that's how I want to get in with you is, when people look at Rob Wilson today, if people knew who you are today, they're like, oh, wealthy, successful guy, probably, had a lot handed to him. And, I'm just saying, when I talk to kids and people that get the message that business is bad and CEOs are bad, right? I want to squash that, because I know, people like you who I love that I know just work your butt off still today. And you love what you do. So it's not like work, but you took risks in the beginning, and you still take risks today to be able to create jobs and do what you do. So kind of go into kind of where, what happened from there. Your dad got in business. I'm sure you had some ups and downs, but tell us about that. And then what you saw that inspired you.
Yeah. So my brother and I played in a rock band in high school, and thought, all right, we're going to be, play guitar for the rest of our lives, or whatever. So I'll go to college as just have something to fall back on, and quickly saw I wasn't going to be the musician that I thought I was going to be. Though my brother's still doing it, and he's 50 years old now. So when I was a sophomore, I went to Bradley University, and I got involved in the activities council promoting concerts, and started my own business managing and marketing bands. Started in my fraternity house in Peoria, Bradley, and then built that up to, I had bands from Ireland and, in Europe that were coming over. I'd organize their tours,
Wow.
record deals, and then I'd take the US bands and organize their tours in Europe as well as some record deals, and started my own record company, and did that for 5-6 years. It was a fun time, and really, as I'm sure, it taught me. And instead of all my friends were they're grads, marketing majors, right? So there were no jobs in the early 80s as marketing majors. They were, one guy's a maitre d' at a pizza place, and the life insurance companies are trying to get you to sell life insurance. But I was already a few years into my career running, managing bands around the world, and that really set the tone for as I grew older, because it from a sales standpoint and from a organizational standpoint, you start a startup, you're a one-man band. So and if I don't sell a rock band to a nightclub, or get a tour, or do recording things, you don't make any money. Yeah. So it was.
Tell me this, Rob. I mean, I know you as a cool, calm, collective guy that, and you probably were back then, that's very business-like, right? Your hair's out, you always got a nice haircut. What'd you look like back then? Describe what you were like back then for us, will you? Give us a picture.
Long hair. So it was probably as long as my wife's hair is today. So past my shoulders, but it was, but that was the industry back then. So it was fun.
You didn't get into the piercings. I haven't seen any piercing. You didn't have piercing or tattoos or what?
No piercing, no tattoos, no. And just I love the business aspect of it, but I found after I did it on the management side for like 5 years or so, that you cared more about the band's careers than because they're creative people, and they're not business people, but you got the sense that you cared more about their careers than they did.
That's cool.
But it was a fun experience, and was going to I took it as far as I could in Chicago. So it was either I was going to go work in New York, and my dad had this insurance agency now for 10 years, and he kept saying, come on, we could do it could be fun together. Let's work together. And you hit the mid 80s, and he was a bit bored in his business, and he had a dozen people working for him. And I thought, if he's bored, why do I want to go into a business if he's, and, but I looked at, the more we talked, the more I said, it'd be great to work together. So I cut my hair and bought a suit and stopped by his house and then said, I want to join you and work together. So he was pretty excited. He about fell off his chair when he saw me with a short haircut. So.
Hey, you got any pictures of that?
Oh yeah. So it was. I'll send you.
I got to see some of those. Hey, Chris, maybe we could attach some of those pictures to this podcast when you put it out there. It'd be fun.
So it was, and at the time he had a insurance agency, and I was doing a lot, obviously pretty connected in the music business. So we started insuring. We insured over in a few years 160, 170 different movies,
wow.
tour bus companies, concerts, and so it was. So tried to merge kind of the two things. Use your connections that you developed, and then worked with a variety of companies around. Started in Chicago and just kind of spread out from there. So it was a good experience, and that led us working together to start an Employco, which is our largest company today.
Oh, okay. So what was your dad's niches when you came on board, Rob? And then how did you morph into some other stuff that you knew, right? How did that work out? Was your dad the kind of the guy that was selling and dealing with some niches, and you were dealing with others, or how did that look?
Yeah, and so he had his business was about half insurance agency and half the consulting, and he really liked the consulting side where he'd be an expert witness in a, so Gary, if you had a workers' comp dispute with your insurance company, and it went to court, he would often be hired as an expert witness, always on behalf of the insured, never represented an insurance company, and he would go into clients from a consulting standpoint. Really, part of it was that outsourced risk manager for a company. You're spending enough on insurance that it's a big line item, but not enough where you're going to hire a risk manager. So you need somebody that can handle that. And he'd go in and look at your workers' comp your last 3-4 years, and we'd find rating errors, misclassifications, and work to get you refunds. In some cases, the refunds would go back 4 years, and we'd charge 50% of savings. So it was, and you wouldn't think there'd be as many errors as there are, but there's a big mistake ratio in the insurance business.
Sure. And then you brought in this other niche as well, and tell us about that, how that worked.
Yeah. And then I brought in the experience on the my music and film connections and grew that side, but also got involved on the consulting side because it was a lot of fun to go in and find someone else's mistakes and get money premiums recovered to clients that in some cases you're going back 3-4 years. And then we went on to one of the first accounts we sold together was an asbestos abatement firm, which actually was a referral from a mutual friend of ours, Todd Hammond, who he was in the business, and said, "Hey, give this guy a call." And so we started working with him. And I said to my dad, "So asbestos liability, I don't know anything about it. What do you suggest?" He goes, "Read the policy, figure it out." And so, you read the policy and figured it out and ended up saving them a bunch of money. But that's the great thing about all our businesses are we've been generalists. So you really get exposed to a wide variety of companies.
That's cool. And, okay, so from there, where'd you go?
So that was in the early 90s, and we were working with some temp agencies and a variety of other companies, and we just happened to be at a trade show for temp agencies, and that we had a number of clients that were in that industry, and a guy had a booth for he was franchising PEOs, and we were like, they used to be employee leasing and professional employer organizations, so we went over and tried to sell him insurance, and he said, I got a guy on my board that does it, but you guys should buy a franchise. So we had some clients that had moved over to that that kind of model over the previous year or two. So we looked at a franchise, and it didn't the buyout just didn't work. It didn't make sense. So we said, how hard can it be? We'll start our own. And so in 1996, my brother Scott and my dad and I, we started the business. My brother Scott came up with the name Employco and a logo. And it took us a few months to kind of get the back of the house in order, as far as we needed a payroll software, we needed to get a 401k, we needed all the elements. And we opened up in '96, and we did a whopping $5,000 in sales. So it was definitely a startup. So
your brother. So when did your brother come in, and tell us about his strengths compared to yours, and how that works? How it worked then, how it works today?
Yeah, so I've got two brothers. My brother that's a year younger than me is a musician, and he's still he's an entrepreneur. He has his own music, art, and dance school now. And so he had never had any interest in getting into the insurance business. And I went in the music business. At my youngest brother, Scott, who were partners, he kind of always grew up knowing that he was going to join my dad, knowing that and they wanted to join the business. He's 6 years younger than I am. So I was working with my dad when he graduated college. He joined the firm. And I think what made us successful, the three of us, was that we all do something different. So many times you hear in family businesses, "Oh my God, you work with your dad or you work with your brother? That's got to really be terrible. You got to be butting heads." And I think if you do the same thing, there's a good chance that might happen. But from our standpoint, back then we did completely different things. We overlapped a little bit on the sales side, but we all kind of had our own niches. And as we've grown the businesses, you have each other's back. So it's you don't have to worry about it. So often you hear teams imploding or someone stealing from you, or the headaches of growing a business. And we each do something different, but we're a great team together. So he was with us when on the insurance side, and then when we started Employco, we each Scott's much more operational than I am. So he's both of us are very involved in the business. But in '96, it was a startup. Took us a couple of years to, by '97, you maxed out your bank line. You're using credit cards, just trying to cash flow and get the business to take off, because we really believed in it, and it did.
So go back to there, Rob. I mean, I think many of us have had that situation, right, where we're like, man, this is getting scary, right? I mean, man, my house is mortgaged to the hilt. I've got these credit cards maxed out. We live the same thing. Cheryl and I live the same thing, and a few times in our career, in our long career in business, and boy, it's scary, right? And you're thinking, man, well, I could have. My friends are in jobs making good money with great benefits, and they got these retirements that they're going to have, right? If I blow this, I got none of that, right? I not only don't have a job and a salary, but I also don't have the built up retirement or 401ks or whatever, right? So tell us about that time when you guys were maxed out using credit cards for your lines and all that, and how that felt.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Your friends that have at that point, I'm in my I'm 30 years old. My a lot of friends that are working, they're working for other people. They got decent jobs. They're making a decent amount of money, and you're signing. You were the same place. You're signing personal guarantees. But you believe in yourself, and you believe in what your product, and you believe in your business. So we kept at it, but we maxed our bank line because we had a mortgage on our office building. We had a small office building at the time, about $1 million building that most of it was rented out. But we maxed it. We got a line of credit, and it was you've got a couple of employees and you got $5,000 of revenue. That really doesn't go very, very far. That wasn't income. That was gross revenue. So on that, we believed in it, and I've been very active on the sales side and sold a couple of accounts, and we had a good sales rep that came in 1997, and just the entrepreneurship of and running a business. We had someone that she practiced doing payroll for 10 months, because how much payroll is in $5,000 of sales. So she we finally had a couple of good accounts, and she freaked out, threw the paper in the air, walked out and quit. And my brother and I looked at each other and said, holy crap, like what are we gonna, and and the Bulls championship run, this was May of 1997. So we sat in our conference room on a couple of computers and we're doing the payroll every night until midnight, watching the Bulls with the tinfoil on your antennas to try and get the reception of the championship series. But as a business owner, what do you finally got some income coming in, you've got some business, you got to do whatever you can to make it work. So it was
exactly. And again, I love the picture you painted there, right? Because I mean, people look at you today and they know, number one, that anybody I know knows loves you, right? A lot, because you guys are such good people. But people don't think that because you're a very successful guy today that you could have been there. They don't picture you as that, right? And so it's when people think that it was easy, it's always fun for you and those that are around you, your brother, Stacy, whoever, look back and say, boy, they probably don't realize how fun it was and how crazy it was and how risky it was at sometimes in this career, right? In this business building career.
Yeah, and you think about you as well, when you look at the things that we've been through over the last 20 some years. You had 9/11, then you had a great recession, and then you had COVID. I mean, but as a leader, you've got to lead your organization through all of it. Believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing. And your team and your customers are looking for you to be a leader. Exactly what you've done over the years.
But it's so much fun to look back. Like you say, you have these times in your life where you're questioning what you're doing and saying, boy, this is a little scary. But when you get through it, and from the lessons you learn of failure, temporary failure to success, when you get through it, it's like it feels so good, right? nobody can understand that feeling and how good it feels when you get through the toughest times. When the bank's kind of looking at you, wondering if you're gonna stay alive, wonder if they should shut your doors for you, right? And then when you get through them, you get those conversations with your banker because they know, right? You can say, you remember what, I golf with my banker once or twice a year, the CEO of the bank I bank with, and it's fun because he's seen our few big, tough times over the last 20 years and 30 years. And it's fun to talk to him about that because you find out now that he questioned whether he should keep you in business or not, right? Because he had the ability to pull the plug and it would have been the end of me. So for you, the same thing, right?
Yeah, the conversation's over, when you're a startup and they're like, well, we can't give you any more money. And then, when you look at 9/11, who expected the economy to crash like it was? But when the recession there's so many businesses in the same boat for us, 2008, 9, and 10, where the bank's like, you really need to turn things around, because we were, like so many companies, you had a big drop in revenue because of the recession. But we came out, we had a very solid strategic plan and a vision, and we've just since then, 14 to 16, I doubled the business, and we got in more states. And I think all those experiences really helped us when COVID hit, and all your employees are looking at you saying, well, am I going to have a job? You hear, we helped our clients lay off 7,000 people during the first 45 days of the pandemic. So it was a pretty dark period for a lot of people, and it's great to see the businesses reopening, and it's been a long struggle for a lot of businesses though through COVID.
So Rob, so for me, the exciting times for me, and I look back, right, and it weren't that exciting when it was going on, but the pivoting that we had to do to go into markets that we thought would be sustainable through tough times. And I got hit hard in the 90s with some bad business deal, doing business for people that didn't pay me, went out of business, developers that went bankrupt, right? So in the 90s, I had some tough times. In the late 90s, we stayed alive, but, grew through it. But then I did work for good customers that I liked a lot, and they had budgeted money to pay me. This is the big facilities leaders across the Chicagoland area. And I said, man, those are the best customers. They're like 15% of my customers. And so I realized I had to grow my business in that space and get away from developers and the risky builders and developers that will go out of business in tough times like 9/11 and 2008 and all that, right? So anyway, what happened was we positioned ourselves by 2008 to be in like 95% of our business were facilities owners that had budgeted money. They always budget their money annually to spend to maintain their properties. And so 2008, 9, 10, 11 were our biggest growth years in our history of our business, because we went, while other companies like me had 10% or 20% of their business in the facility space, the 70, 80% killed their businesses. So we had a lot of competitors went out of business, and we stayed alive because we were, 90% in the space we wanted to be in, right? And so, not that we didn't make more mistakes in 2015 and almost lost everything again, and another story. But overall, I mean, pivoting in business to understand your what's sustainable, and what businesses will get you through the tough times, or what businesses are the strongest in economic trouble, right? And so, tell me about what you've seen in your business, right? And then also being in front of so many businesses like you are, man, you must see trends, incredible trends that you probably consult your customers on too, right? In the same respect.
Yeah, and so going prior to the recession in 8, 9, and 10, we were very heavily in the trade show business, and we still do a lot in the trade show business. Our clients set up and take down trade show booths around the country, and for us, it was an area where we did it well. We provide customized solutions, so we found what their headaches were, and we provide the solution. So we're the largest HR outsourcing / payroll company to trade shows across the country over the last 5, 7, 10 years or so. And so for that, unfortunately, that industry really took a hit in 8, 9, and 10 because the recession. People just stopped going to trade shows, tightened their budgets, backed out. So at that point, we realized we really need to be a lot more diverse. We can't have 70% of our business in one industry. So we've from at that point on, now it represents probably 20% of our business. But
boy, I can't imagine what happened through COVID, because I know the trade shows that I go to were eliminated. So I can't imagine how that maneuvering back then saved you now.
Yeah, if we, our trade show wise, we did in 19 about $80 million of trade show business, and so that there was no, starting in the middle of March last year, there was no trade show business. We've this first quarter we've seen them back in Florida, Texas, Arizona, kind of the southern states. You're not seeing anything in Chicago, New York, your major markets.
So you can say it. You can say it, Rob. You're saying it active back in the smart states, and the stupid states still don't get it.
Yeah, it's a shame when you've got they're hoping to see the auto show at McCormick Place in July, and they're talking about the smaller West building instead of the main building. But yeah, your southern states are open. There's nothing going on in I think in San Diego Convention Center. They can't open if they wanted to. They've half of it's homeless, and the other half they're putting the illegal immigrants that are coming in from Mexico into the convention center. So the same thing with a number of other markets. So it's a slow recovery in your northern states, but
so Rob, you're not as blunt as I am, but you're too nice. But I call it stupid states and smart states, and I think it's pretty clear that those states are using safety in every aspect they can to keep people coming and keep their economies open. And you got to admire that when we got stupid states like Illinois and California that don't get it. They don't care almost, because they could keep their economies open. They just have to be in a smart way. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Miami today. I've been down in Florida for a few days at seeing some clients, and I was in West Palm for a day. I've been in Miami for a few, and Florida is alive. People are on the street. People are wearing masks, but the businesses are open. There's no restrictions. I was in Chicago. Stacy and I were down on Michigan Avenue on Sunday, and it's stuff's boarded up. There's nobody walking around. It's a completely different feel in Chicago than it is in Florida.
And the sad thing is, it doesn't have to be that way. But yeah, we won't get into politics. Right. I might be involved in some politics here in the future days ahead. So I probably shouldn't, to spend too much time there. And you're a business guy, but you can feel the difference, right?
And we need leaders like you to get, and to when you're talking about raising your hand and volunteering, we need people like you to raise your hand and say, enough of this. The politics have to change. We need to repair our state. So
Absolutely.
Appreciate guys like yourself that raise your hand, because it can't stay the way it is.
Well, and Rob, I haven't tapped into you enough yet lately, but I'm going to. You're one of my targets, one of my buddies I'm on a target to help out, because here's the deal. I mean, you and I and some of our friends have built businesses to do business, to serve our customers across the country, and one of my biggest blessings is that I've done that, and over the last 15 years, as I've grown across the country and worked in every state, I've investigated the governors and the leadership of these states. And I realize where smart things are being done to make great sense, to create jobs, right, and to nurture jobs and nurture families and give them all the stuff they need for a great culture in their states. And at the same time, over the last 15 years, I've seen Illinois go from the best state, the world-class city, and the world-class state in the middle of the best country in the world, from that to today, place where nobody wants us to go find it. You can't find, people don't think you can find a job here. I mean, you can, but it's not as abundant as other places. But nobody wants to come here and start a business or grow a business. And we're seeing jobs leave every day, and great people leave every day, people we love. So again, you and I see that because, if I was just in Illinois in my businesses like I was for the first 20, 25 years of my businesses, I might not have that global perspective, right? The perspective of the whole country. But having that perspective, like you do, and like many of our friends do, I mean, I need to tap into you, because you're seeing this in a way that most of us don't, because we're doing our job, working our butts off in our job here in Illinois, not outside of it, right? So to compare so many things that we have going on in Illinois from a perspective like yours is invaluable. So give me just a few minutes of that, of what you're seeing, nationally. National perspective of being a job creating state that you're helping your customers grow in, or a job losing state.
Yeah, and I grew up in Chicago. I love Chicago, and a lot of our clients that through the pandemic that have opportunities with remote workers are hiring people around the country, not necessarily in Chicago, and trying to figure out how to be more virtual and work in different cities. But it's been really hard on a lot of our clients in Chicago, whether they're not just Chicago, really anywhere in Illinois, but in Chicago with your restaurants. It's tough surviving. People don't want to sit in an outdoor tent, or out. It doesn't really work in the winter. And some have made it through, but it's been a challenge for a lot of companies in Chicago versus it was very impactful across obviously the entire country, but some states have recovered quicker. So Chicago is going to come back. But you feel bad. There's been so many businesses that have been impacted. 30% of restaurants are gone, and probably not going to return. But there's entrepreneurs out there that we're heavily involved in the food industry, and Food Industry News, a good friend, his newspaper. Every month he publishes the new restaurants and new food operations, and there was. He had like 4 pages of new restaurants that are opening. So people, some closed, but there's people, and maybe they just timed it right because of the reopening. But there's plenty of entrepreneurs out there that are going to open businesses.
Yeah, there are, but again, the key is I'm seeing some people that are thinking outside the box. They're figuring out how to stay alive in their businesses, right? And people that don't adjust are falling by the wayside. It's just sad that some of these businesses that they spent their lives building them, 20, 30, 40 years, now they're gone, right? And they're gone right. Without, like you and I talked about earlier, without the retirement plan, without the nest egg they planned on for retirement. And some of these people are in their 50s, 60s, 70s with nothing left, right? So again, and then all the jobs that go with it, all these people in these industries without the jobs that they should have. So, bottom line is you and I are competitive entrepreneurs. And I think the opportunity for an entrepreneur to lead a state, and I've seen this happen, to lead a state, you're thinking about how are we going to compete to kick the pants off our our competitors, right? And man, I looked at I looked at COVID as an opportunity that smart states used to actually build their economy even stronger, actually, right? When you look at Indiana, Wisconsin, and Iowa, right, they're stronger now than they were, and we're weaker in Illinois because they took advantage of our weakness, and they opened in a safe manner. They kept their kids in school, and got back to work, pretty fast. Florida, Tennessee, Texas. I mean, these people are thriving. These states are thriving when dumb states are dying. And yeah, it should come back, Rob, but it's not going to come back if we keep the same mentality that we've got in leadership today. But we have an opportunity for.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Look at the school system. Indiana, there's so many states where kids are back in school. In Illinois, your private schools, whether it's Catholic or whatever, private schools are all in person. And you've got CPS, the union. It's so sad for the kids to, and they, in the beginning it was it's the science. Well, let's still look at the science. The kids need to be back in person school. Remote learning is not effective.
Yeah, mental health for some reason wasn't part of the science, and it sure the heck should have been, right? And still should be today, because if you study mental health, you realize, well, number one, if you study the health side of things, you'd see that kids in these other states are as healthy as our kids in our state, right? When it comes to real health and COVID cases and all that, there's not a big difference, right? And then when you study mental health, our kids are in tough shape right now. And we're not putting enough emphasis on that, in my opinion. But yeah, so that I look at that as an entrepreneurial case. As an entrepreneur looking at that, I know you, Rob, would say, okay, how do we get through this and now gain economic strength against our competitors, Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Tennessee, right? How do we gain on these other states now, and in a smart way that we keep the health of our state and our city in great shape, as well as our economic health, right, and our mental health. So anyway, I think there's such an opportunity, and the other, as an entrepreneur, Rob, and I know the way we think, but it's let's collaborate with every mind we can that's in the same boat. Let's collaborate with the people that are, if I'm far left, far right. Let's talk to people at far right. If I'm far right in my political beliefs, I don't care. This is a life and death thing, right? Let's collaborate with those that are far left, that are doing the right thing. And I look at, again, the Democratic leader and governor of Colorado, right? They're thriving. This person didn't look at this as a right and left thing, a political thing. This person said, man, let's make sure we get through this in a healthy way, but let's all make sure we're economically strong too. And that Democratic governor did a great job, right? And you have Republican governors, on the other hand, that kept their state shut down, much like Illinois. So again, I think there's plenty of smart leaders that didn't look at this as a left and right thing, a Republican Democrat thing. And I think there's plenty of people that I thought, lost a great opportunity, like our governor, and other governors who just said, this is, we're going to play this out in a political way to make sure we get our agenda politically done. And that's a terrible thing for our citizens. So
yeah, I agree. I agree. And there's, as we all own businesses, we care about the safety of our employees. We've all figured out how to reopen, how to do it safely. I think the schools have too, but then when you've got the teachers that don't want to come back, or they're being told you shouldn't come back because of unions or whatever. But we all have, we're still helping clients reopen their businesses. We shut down in May to June. We reopened first week of June, and it was new for everybody. And that's, we've helped our clients, hundreds of clients, reopen, and how to do it safely. It's, create a plan and help them implement it. You can reopen and be safe at the same time.
100%. So again, think about in your industry again. Let's look at the last 10 years of growth, because you guys have exploded and grown so much. And what you've done to compete with the kind of the standard of the industry, and how you've, as an entrepreneur, have thought outside the box, because I've seen it happen with you. I've seen you get into so many things that have created totally a different company than you were even 10 years ago when I knew you, right? Tell me what you've done, what you've seen to be able to see past the kind of the industry standard to your, to the Employco standards, right?
And so we compete with companies like Insperity and ADP and TriNet, large companies. They buy in volume, but they also have a set way of how they work and how you have to work with them. And my philosophy has always been, I want to be the solution to your headache. So being an entrepreneur in a nimble company, we're able to react much quicker. So I want to find out what's Gary's headache and what's your pain point in HR, payroll, whatever it is, and how can we be your solution? So I can compete with the large publicly traded companies because we're just about $400 million of sales. So we've got enough volume that we're providing the savings like the big competitors, but we can provide more customized solutions. And really that's what has helped our growth explode, is being able to provide that solution, finding out whether it's a trade show companies that they want to go city to city and they need someone to do the union fringe reports because the payroll companies won't. So we said, how hard can that be? So we customized our system. But in the last few years, the last 5 years or so, we also looked at larger companies that have had turnover in the HR department. So we created an on-site HR. So you still have our back office, but we'll put people in your office. And if that person quits or whatever your issue is, we can replace that person. They're an integral part of our team. So we can make HR more strategic for companies and less push and paper, less like daily grind, and be more strategic with it. And that's really helped us go into larger companies. Our competitors, their clients are 17 to 35, 17 to 50 employees. Our largest client's 2,500 employees. So we've got dozens of clients that are in that kind of 600 to 1,200 employee side that our competitors aren't in, and that's because we've created this on-site opportunity to put people in your office. So but just thinking out of the box like that and trying to be creative and be that solution for companies.
Yeah, so you have competition. You get the giants, right, and then you get the mom and pops, right? So you have two different types of competitors, and you got to always be focused on how are you going to compete and differentiate from the giants, right? And then on how you're going to differentiate from the mom and pops, right? You're probably, what I see your industry is one that there's a few giants, and the nice thing about the giants is they can't be as nimble as you guys are, and I know they're not, right? And then you got the mom and pops, and mom and pops unfortunately can't deliver the service. Hopefully you can, that you've been able to do. So yeah, how do you think about that when you think about competition?
Yeah, and when you look at the mom and pops, the challenge with them is they may be great in whatever city they're in, but we're in all 50 states. So you really, for our team, we know the HR laws, the tax laws in every state, and you have to. So we've built up that capability where your small companies probably don't have that expertise. So but at the same time, I've got a lot of friends, YPO friends and other friends that you sell your business and now you got to start up with 2 people. Most people don't want to help someone that has 2 employees, and we're happy to do it. So we, from 2 to 2,500, we've got a pretty wide range, but and a lot of our friends are clients. It's funny, we had hired someone on an operational side, and she's going through the system, and she said to someone else, like every other person on the notes say the owner's a friend of Rob's. Do we only work with his friends? And I said, and I had my response as I heard was that I like working with friends, and why I love working with good people, and become a client, and I even if I don't know them, if I want to become their friend and help them, want to be a solution for them. So who wants to work with a headache?
Yeah, well, that's funny you say, because I've got I had friends of mine that were mentors early in my career, and they'd say I can't stand my customers, I can't stand my employees, and I like the business, but I can't stand my employees, my customers. Right? Okay, well, they weren't high growth companies ever, right? They never really grew very much because that was the attitude. Well, I was like, man, I love my teammates, and I love my customers when they're good people that care about me too, right? And what as you get better and better, and you can scale like you have and we have, right? Cool thing is you can look your friends and your customers and friends in the eye and say, if we don't give you the best service and the best quality, man, I don't deserve your business, and if you can honestly say that to your customers, that you're going to strive to be the very best you can be in your industry, right? And if you can say, if I don't give you that world-class, experience in dealing with us, we don't deserve your business. Our friendship is more important, right? And I truly believe that. And when you do that, if you got a problem, your customers have a problem with you, and they're truly friends, they're probably going to call you, Rob, and they're going to say, hey, Rob, you know what? I got to tell you, I've had some headaches doing, working in your business. You're the last, couple months, you haven't been the world-class company I've grown to expect, right? And so at least your customers, being your friends, are probably going to give you that shot to fix something, whatever it is, compared to somebody that doesn't really like you or you just have no relationship with. And and they sell you out for somebody that's 10% cheaper, and whether they're going to give you better service or not, right? So you create friendships with every customer for sure. I see that, and I do. I strive to also, because if they're your friends, they're probably going to give you a shot, and they're going to be honest with you and blunt with you when you're not delivering the expected service, right? So I think it's a huge advantage to be good friends with your customers, and when you love people, it's pretty easy, right?
Right, and you want to provide a great customer experience for everybody, and that's one of the things that we strive, is you want a great experience for all your customers, and as well with your internal team. We spend a lot of time on our culture internally, working with our team, and we tend to hire slow in the sense that we want to make sure that you're the right fit before you join our team, because you bring in a couple of people that don't have your culture, or and it can wreck your culture a lot quicker, and it's going to take you a lot longer to fix it. So we pay close attention to anybody we hire. We want to make sure it's the right fit.
Yeah, I think how important. I mean, culture is a result of really sticking to and educating to your core values, right? How you hold people accountable to the core values that you put in place. How do you look at that, and what are your core values?
Right. Yeah. Our core values. We're honest and ethical company, and we're there to help the client. But from our standpoint, our values, from an honesty, be honest and ethical. Is that you run into people that they want to grow they may not be ethical, but all they care about is growing their business. We're not that way, and our customers would be the first to tell you. And same with our team. We've got a lot of great people that work with us, and some of our Jerry LeComp, who's our vice president of payroll, she's been with us for 21 years, and Mike Douglas, our CFO, is 20 years. So we've got a lot of people. We're doing something right if the team stays together so long.
So when you interview people, right, or you evaluate somebody a year later, 2 years later, what are the things you look at that you can measure them by, as far as the expectation from the beginning, and the principles you interviewed for, and then a year later, how do you measure them as far as their progress?
Yeah, on the initial interview, we look at your experience. We also look at your personality. What type of person are you going to be in the office? Whether it's brash, loud, quiet. I think your personality is as important as anything you have written on your resume. Either you're going to be either you're going to fit the team or not. You can have the best resume, but if your personality is not good, we don't want you part of the team. And we brought in years ago, based on, we do employee surveys every year, and we ask them specific questions about us, as well as questions that we ask our clients, as well as some questions that come out of SHRM, so we can really benchmark. And then we do the same service for our clients. And from that, we create focus groups internally and look at where do we score high on, and how can we make that score even higher, and what do we score low on, and how can we improve that. And we use that every year, and it helps, and the employees see that their voice matters, it counts. And even down to things like our suggestion box, when we take suggestions seriously. But then with one of the suggestions that came out is we needed better training, so we hired a training manager, and he spent a year in every department, understanding every aspect of it. And so now, no matter who comes in the organization as a new hire, no matter what your role is, you're going to go through a new hire training, and you're going to meet with department heads out of every department. So this is every employee we have spends a couple of weeks, and they're going to meet every department head, because we want them to know what we do, how we do it, and they're going to learn about every aspect of our business. They're not going to be experts in it, but they're going to understand it. And then we're going to create, we do regular performance reviews from a performance management standpoint, and set goals and expectations with them. So when it comes time to do the, a semi-annual review or quarterly review, we've set out goals. They know our goals within the organization, goals of their department, and goals that they have individually. So it's easy then at for a review standpoint of, here's what your goals are, whether they were continuing education, or what new roles you're going to take on, or what your specific duties are. And so it's easy to have that then conversation with our team, individual team members. So, and they like that feedback.
Awesome. And, tell me about, you guys have grown crazy. I mean, in over the years, and watch you from 20 years or 15 years ago, I've known you ever until today. It's been amazing, right? So when you think about your growth, what have you done? What have you done, Rob, as a leader to inspire your team to get them to visualize the growth along with you, and then operationally keep up with that vision? All right, get everybody to buy in and be on that the same bus, right? Because for that's been something that I figured out over the years to be better at than I was originally, right? But tell me about what that looks like. And I mean, do you ever to see the growth you guys have been in? Inc. magazine for the fastest growing and companies in the country. And I remember, I think you and I were around the same time in Ernst Young's Entrepreneur of the Year stuff, right? And so to watch you grow, I mean, what have you done? What did you do in the past were kind of like a moonshot to say, here's where we're going to be in X amount of years, whatever, that people would say, come on, Rob, really? Right. And then where are you at today? And do you have a moonshot now that you're saying, hey man, 2028, here's where we're going to be, and here's how we're going to get there? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we've have a well thought out strategy. So I started working really solid on strategy back with a short-term and long-term goals back in 13, 14, a couple of short-term and longer term. And we're very open with our team members. I've got a really good management team, so we look at and take everybody's input. But we've got pretty well thought out strategy of where we want to go, how we're going to get there, and we explain that to everyone on our team. I host. Well, one of the good things that came out of COVID was, as we all went kind of remote for a while, we did started doing a call with an all office call with everybody that works for us every Friday afternoon. So and kind of a state of the state. We used to do it quarterly, and now we're doing it, and we still do it even though we're all back in the office. We still do a meeting every Friday, so everybody feels much more involved and in touch, and they hear what every department's doing. I call on every department head for them to give what's going on this week, and then every quarter, like we just did last week, we did a highlights of the quarter. Where are we on our goals? Who are our new clients? We celebrate anniversaries. We celebrate a variety of things with the team. So they get that the team aspect. But if you were, from a long range goal, my goal is to become $1 billion organization, and we want to do $1 billion in sales by 2025. So if you were to ask anybody that works for us, hey, what's Employco's goal? They would tell you 1 billion. So everyone knows that, and we're going to get there.
Awesome. And when you think about the team that you've built and scaled, right? I mean, how many people on your team now, and then how many people that are executive leaders that have to think like entrepreneurs like you?
Yeah, so we've got 6 people on our management team and senior management, and all are very vested in the business. All have been involved in the strategy. My brother, like myself, is an entrepreneur, and so we built a really good team, and we want their feedback. We want everybody's input, and we're going to get there as an organization, and have a pretty well thought out strategy to get there.
How many people on your team, globally across the country and within your whole group?
Yeah, so we're about 30. Our clients represent about 30,000 people across all 50 states. In my corporate office, I've got a little over 50 people in our corporate office, and then the trade show business it's going to come back, but you're not going to see much of that size until the fall. But when that comes back in the fall, we'll see a big jump in our numbers. But we're continuing hiring. We just added someone to oversee loss control and client relations, really the client relation experience. He just started a couple weeks ago, and we're looking to hire 3-4 more people right now. So we're very bullish on people reopening and the growth opportunities, and a lot of what you went into COVID and no one knew what to expect. We helped our clients lay off 7,000 employees across the country. We helped our client. No one knew, was it going to be, initially it was 2 weeks to stop the curve or stop the spread, and it turned into a year. So what really helped us, we just finished our best first quarter we had since 2014. We had more new clients come on than we have in the last 7 years in Q1, which was great. And I think part of that was we got out in front of COVID and webinars. PPP came out. No one was an expert at it. I remember there's a YPOer that started throwing out these webinars, but at the end of the day, he was just he was an SBA lender. He was doing it to pitch business for himself. So we figured out the PPP inside and out, and we started putting on our own webinars. I have nothing to do with PPP. We have nothing to do with PPP other than we got educated and wanted to help our customers and friends. So during the lockdown, we did probably 30 webinars on PPP, engaging your remote workforce, reopening safely. That's been a big one. So a variety of them, and they weren't for sales standpoint. It was just to help people through the process. But then people kept coming back and saying, "Hey, your webinars have been invaluable. Can you help me? Can you give me a proposal?" And so it ended up working out well for us.
It's amazing what happens when you just think about serving, right? When you just think about how do we serve our customers better, right? And doing that, the relationships you build are incredible, because people understand when they're being served well and when people care about them. And it's amazing whether you're a small business, a mid-sized business, a large business, or you're a government, right? I mean, if you serve your citizens, your customers better than the competition, you're going to win. And you guys are going to keep winning because of that, because that's who you are, and that's who the culture of your team is, right? Hey Rob, tell me about I've seen you do a bunch of stuff in leadership, and you're an example of many on how you lead other people. I know you've had a leadership coach for a long time that I like. I get a kick out of him. He's a very popular coach for many of the best executives, athletes in the world, and really what a really cool guy Jim is. But tell us about that. Tell us about your relationship with your executive coach. I think you've been doing that maybe 8 or 10 years, I'm guessing, because I remember meeting Jim originally at your house. Tell us about that and how that's worked out for you, and why that's worked out.
Yeah, actually, he's down here as well. We just did a few nights with some clients and friends, and so Jim was a great. We started working together in 2013, and really helped us with our strategy and the kind of the mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset, and being in the as he says, being in the zone. So it's been great to work with him. He's coached a lot of people in our office and our team. He's done seminars for us with our team. My oldest son works with me. It's fantastic having the third generation of the business, and Jim's been coaching Griffin as well. So, but he's done a really good job. It definitely helps you to get from his own standpoint and from a strategy standpoint. So I think it really helped us as we took that leap of growth.
Yeah, just explain the zone in a couple of minutes, because that's an interesting concept that I always like from Jim.
Yeah, and different tips that he's a very positive person, and started out, met him at at a Sobel Cup, speaking about golf, and there it was all about the mindset of golf. Never look down, always have your chin up. Never, you got to shake off that. You just got an 8 on the last hole. You got to shake that off. Don't take that up to the next tee box, otherwise, you're going to shank the ball. And and use that in business, and rebooting in between meetings, of just trying to clear your mind and be positive. Look to the future, not to the past. So his score system of and his book right now that we were out seeing some of our clients with, was the blueprint. Everybody needs a blueprint, whether it's in your personal life or your business, and and that works. We have a blueprint in our business, and like most businesses do. So it's been fun working with them.
That's really cool. And and I realize this, in business and now in the political world, same thing, right? I've been speaking every day pretty much to different groups, and you got to be in the zone. When you're not in the zone, I mean, I had a experience here a few nights ago where I was totally flat. I was out like 3 nights before till late, all over this, all over a few hours from my house each night, driving home, getting home at 1 o'clock and getting up in the morning at 5 and out the door by 6 and on the road again. Right. And I was flat. It was like 3-4 nights ago for about 300 people. I was totally flat, and the mic wasn't working right. And I was like, it's pretty tired, dehydrated, all the things you can imagine. And I definitely was not in the zone. Right. And afterwards, while I'm doing it, I'm like feeling like I'm not in the zone. Afterwards, like, okay, that was flat, right? And the other 2 governor candidates were there too, and actually they did a good job, right? They were ready, they were rested, they were ready. And so what I learned is I'm never going to let that happen again. So I evaluated what caused that, and the last few times I've been out since then, I've been totally in the zone and totally on fire, right? But again, you got to realize when you make mistakes, what do you learn from them, right? In this case, I learned a lot. And in one talk for 10 minutes, I learned a lot, and all the things I did wrong. I got to get a lot of sleep. I got to work out every day. I got to eat well. I got to drink well. I got to be hydrated. And if I do those things, the odds of me having a flat speech like that again will be very low, right? So
yeah, exactly. So people underrate. Sleep's important. So is being hydrated. So that's one of the easiest things to make you go flat, is if you're not hydrated.
Yeah, it's like you're a battery, basically, right? You're a battery. If you don't keep water in that battery, it's going to go dead.
Right.
So yeah, cool. So no, that's awesome. And again, I think that's something to take away, right, for people. To get a coach to be able to watch you from the outside in, to say, hey, you don't see all your all your blind points, right? I mean, you're not seeing around every corner, and when you have or when you do something that you just didn't catch yourself, somebody that's honest with you, that you trust, that can coach you like that, can tell you, hey, Rob, you know what, you might not have seen this, but here's what I saw, right? Oh man, dang, I didn't see that. Well, thanks. Because again, if you just go at it alone and you don't trust other people that have been there and done it better than you, then boy, you're just not going to gain a lot. Whether it be leadership,
right.
leadership communication, or leadership execution, or anything, right? So
yeah, and a couple of his books score, self-discipline and optimism, relaxation, and enjoyment. For me, I love my job. I love our business, so I really enjoy it. And I think as a business leader, optimism, you have to have optimism.
100%.
Yeah, and everything else that goes along with it, and some luck and the drive to get there.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, buddy. Talk about your family really quick, because you got an amazing family that's a blessing in your life, right? That you can always look back and understand they've got your back, right? Stacy, your kids, right? Tell us about your family really briefly, because I think people need to know about that too.
Yeah, so Stacy and I this year will be together 29 years from our first date. So had to hustle her a few times to try and talk her into that first date, but once you got the second date, you're like, all right, she went out with me for a second time. So we've been together 29 years this year. We got three great kids. So Griffin works with me. He's 24. Spencer's graduating from University of Arizona in May, and then Pierce, our youngest son, is a sophomore at Wake Forest. So all great kids, all completely different personalities, and it's great to see. It's been fun seeing them grow up. So,
That's
good kids.
Yeah. I've been around your kids. They're amazing kids. Actually, they're really just high emotional intelligence. They like people. They communicate even when they're very young, right? They communicate really well, right? You guys did an awesome job raising your family. So God bless you there.
Yeah, thanks.
So we got so at the end of our podcast, my buddy Chris kind of critiques things. He's going to pull out the what we look at as laws of success or nuggets of success that he sees that we want other people to understand, to kind of catch. So Christopher, are you there, buddy? And what are you seeing here, man? What are you getting out of this as a young entrepreneur yourself?
Yeah, no, this is great. I was frantically writing down tips that I think everyone can use. The first ones I wrote was leverage your connections in any industry, even music, to grow your business. I loved that, Rob, obviously music was a huge passion of yours. And a couple of years in, you're like, I think that I might have better luck in a more traditional industry, but I still want to leverage the connections that I've made. And it sounds like you did a great job of doing that. Keep a diverse client base so that, not one industry, not one client can kind of sink your whole business. You're keeping a lot of different clients in different areas. The best way to compete with bigger companies is to stay nimble, and you can change on a dime and offer more customized solutions to your various sized clients. That's awesome. Gary, you actually said something that was really awesome as well. You said create friendships with all your customers, because then, even if you're not delivering as well as you can, they'll likely come to you and say, hey, I want to give you another chance to serve us as well as I know you can. Provide a great experience for all your customers. That was awesome. Hire slow to ensure that your new hires are a good cultural fit. It seems like one bad hire, in the same way that a bad apple in the bunch can kind of spoil the whole thing. So that I would almost say that that's one of the most important lessons from today. And this goes in line with that. Your personality is as important as anything on your resume. Make sure everyone on your team knows the company's goals. I loved when Rob said, our goal is to become a $1 billion company by 2025. And if you ask any employee, they all know that. So I think that's a great way to ensure everyone's on the same page. And if you serve your customers better than your competitors, you're going to win. And finally, as a business leader, you have to have optimism, a bit of luck, and the drive to get there. So this is all great stuff. Thank you so much, Rob, for sharing.
Great. No, thanks for having me on.
I think one thing I would add, Chris, that I see in Rob is this passion for continuous improvement, right? If you just look, Rob is not a bragger like me, okay? If he was a bragger like me, man, he would be talking about a lot more stuff that makes him different and that makes him a winner, right? A champion. And so, but what I see in Rob and watching him from the outside is constant improvement, continuous improvement. When it comes to education and leadership in YPO, Rob is the one raising his hand to lead something that educates other leaders. And you heard Rob talk about, somebody was doing seminars on the PPP, on the stimulus stuff. And in my opinion, Rob saw that and said, man, that's, that guy, they're doing okay. That's a good idea. But I can do it better in his mind, not verbally, but Rob would think I can do that better. And by the way, I can serve my customers with that. Right. And so sure enough, Rob did that. And with that, I guarantee you, Rob's relationships with his customers and new customers, really grew. And again, that's what great leaders do, all constantly improving on what they got. I mean, Rob could be very complacent and the size of his business and the enterprise value Rob's created in this business is incredible. And Rob can be pretty complacent right now and say, you know what, I got it handled now. You know, I can retire now and everything's good. Instead, I know Rob, I know you, dude. You're saying, okay, how can I create more opportunity, more millionaires within my team and others, right? And how do I give back more? I can't give back if I don't earn more. So again, continuous improvement is a big thing, Rob, that I see in you, and I admire that about you probably most, is you're constantly figuring out how can I do it better. And then if you can continue to grow your leaders like that, 10 years, 20 years from now, whenever it is you do want to, retire, man, you're gonna build a team behind you that'll continue to build the same way you have in the past. So that's the best when I see what you're doing from the outside. I always continue to improve everything you're doing. So thanks for that. Because hillbillies like me from the outside are watching the dude, and we're saying, man, how can I be more like Rob, right? So thanks for everything you do, brother.
Thanks for everything you do. So many people look up to you for the way you built your business and what a great team you have. So, I mean, you're inspirational to all of us.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. All right. So, I'll tell you what, really enjoyed this one, Chris. Our Ditch Digger CEO listeners are going to learn a ton from Rob. And I can't wait to see what they say about Rob, because, he's a blessing to all of us as entrepreneurs. Rob, thanks for being here, buddy. I really appreciate you.
All right. Thanks. It was great seeing you, and look forward to see you in person, hopefully soon. Don't get too comfortable with that Florida stuff. You're gonna stay here in Illinois with me, and we're gonna change the state. Okay, buddy? Coming back tomorrow. All right. Till next time, I'm Ditch Digger CEO. See ya. Thanks, Rob. You're awesome. All right. Man.
Thanks so much, Rob.
All right. Thanks. And have a great rest of your day. Thanks for having me on, Gary.